So I'm a clinical neuropsychologist, and I spend a good part of my time involved in testing and assessing kids and teenagers and young adults who have learning disabilities or attention problems or neurological problems, emotional, behavioral problems, and trying to figure out what's working well, what's not working well, and how to help them. I lecture and write a lot about the effects of stress on the developing brain. I think there's a lot of interest in this idea that the adolescent brain is very underdeveloped. It's very unlike an adult brain. The interesting thing about that is that it has all kinds of potential for development. And at the same time, developing brain systems are more vulnerable. The developing brain is more vulnerable to various chemicals or to injury, accident, various things. And so there's all these things in modern life that have a terrible effect on the developing brain, including drugs and alcohol in adolescents, including the chronic sleep deprivation that we see in teenagers, including the chronic stress that we see affecting both kids in elite schools who want to be top students and go to elite college, and kids in the poorest and most poverty-stricken schools, where kids' stress levels are 3 times what they are in the general population. And we know that when you get stressed, what happens is the parts of the brain that allow you to think clearly basically get shut down. Because in a real emergency, if you're being attacked, you don't want to stop and think. If you overthink, that's dangerous. So nature's programmed us so that when we start to feel stressed, which means that we start to feel threatened, or we start to feel that we could be embarrassed or hurt, or we're behind on something, we're worried about something. When we start to feel stressed, we're supposed to respond instinctively, which means that we can't think clearly. We can't organize our thinking. We can't put things in perspective. And so it's a very dangerous situation for kids and teenagers to be trying to learn and trying to develop, to sculpt brains that work well, that can see things in perspective, that have a big picture on life, that have a positive attitude, that can be optimistic if they're stressed and tired all the time, because the brain doesn't work that way. In my experience, Transcendental Meditation is really good for the developing brain. I talk about Transcendental Meditation because in my experience, that teenagers can do it very easily, and when they do it in just 10 minutes twice a day, what they experience is that they actually have a center, they have a core of peacefulness and happiness inside them that they can access. And the more they do it, the more they find that they're less reactive to stress. When they do get stressed, it goes away faster. They generally sleep better, they find it easier to eat and get through life. And these kids simply need antidotes to these tremendous stressors, including the drugs and alcohol and sleep deprivation.